Alright, we're dividing chapter 12, section 4 into two parts. There's two different ways that we're going to divide polynomials. The first thing that we're going to do is use a long division. But there's two parts of what we're going to do today. We're going to start easy and divide a polynomial by a monomial. And remember, monomial means that it has one term. So no addition or subtraction. And then we're going to use long division. So to divide a polynomial by a monomial, divide each term of the polynomial by the monomial. So when we see something like this, that means I need to divide 3m squared by every one of these guys here. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3m cubed over 3m squared minus 6m squared over 3m squared plus m over 3m squared. And then you simplify each one. And 3 divided by 3 is just 1. M cubed divided by m squared, we need to subtract the exponents, so we're just left with 1m. We have this negative sign here that we need. And then 6 divided by 3 is just 2. And then m squared over m squared is m to the 0, or we don't really need to write that. And this one here, when we subtract that 1, we end up with 1m left, and he's in the denominator. So this is where we have to use our exponent rules in order to figure this stuff out. But whatever's left over, we end up putting it as a fraction. And that's it. Let's try another one. I need to divide all of this stuff here by 4t squared. So you rewrite everything and individually divide everything by 4t squared. And then you break down term by term. So 8 divided by 4 is just 2. And then t to the 5th divided by t squared is t cubed. 16 divided by 4 is just 4. T cubed divided by t squared is just a plain old t. And this negative sign here. 4 divided by 4 is just 1. And then this should be t squared. T squared divided by t squared is t to the 0, so we don't need to write that. And then this simplifies to 1/2. This t crosses off with one of those, so we end up with 1 over 2. And we got one more t down there. And that's it. The next part is a little harder because we have to use long division. So we have to remember what the heck long division is. So back in 4th grade, you had problems that looked like this. 21 divided by 737. Let's make this a little smaller. You put the number that you were dividing by on the outside and the number that was being divided on the inside. And then you went through and you asked yourself, how many times can 21 fit into 7? And it can't, so you put a 0 above that 7. Then you say, okay, how many times can 21 fit into 73? And it fits in 3 times. So then you took that 3 and you multiplied it by 21. And that gives you 63. And then you subtracted to see what was left over. So it goes in 3 times, but there's 10 left over, and then you had to bring down the 7. And then it started all over again. You asked yourself, how many times does 21 fit into 107? And it fits in 5 times. And then you do 21 times 5, which is 105, and then you would subtract. And we'd get 2. And so there's nothing left to bring down. This 2 was our remainder. So if you were to type into your calculator 737 divided by 21, you end up with 35 and a remainder of 2. So that's 35 and 2 21sts because 2 is left over. It doesn't fit in anymore. So this is our answer here. So we can summarize the process for long division as divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. So that's what we did up here. We divided, we saw how many times it went in here, then we multiplied, then we subtracted, we brought something down, and then we repeat if we need to. In the division above, the answer is written as a mixed number, which is this right here. And this is really 35 plus 2 that's left over that need to be divided by 21. So in dividing polynomials, we are going to write our answer like that, a quotient and then our remainder being added on. So let's try a problem. This is going to be set up exactly the same. It's going to look kind of scary. You take the number you're dividing and you put that on the outside, and then the number that you are dividing a number into on the inside. And then you start asking how many times stuff fits in. So this is the part that's a little weird. You just take this b and you say how many times does b fit into 2b squared? Or like, what do you need to multiply 2b squared by to get b? So when you do that, you end up saying that I need a 2 and a b to make 2b squared. So then comes that part where we multiply. And you need to multiply b, or 2b, by both of those things. So 2b times b is 2b squared, and 2b times 1 is 2b. And now remember, back here, we then subtracted. So it's very important here that we need to subtract and subtract. So this goes away, which is good. We want that to disappear, and this gives us negative 3b, and then we bring this down. And then we do this process all over again. We ask ourselves, just with this b, what do you need to multiply b by to give you negative 3b? And we need a negative 3. And then you take that negative 3, and you have to multiply it by b and by 1. So you get negative 3b minus 3. And then remember, you have to subtract. So if you are subtracting a negative, you're really adding for both of these. When you add them up, you get 0. So that means your remainder is 0. That means if you divide these guys, it goes in exactly 2b minus 3 times. So the awesome thing about this is because dividing and multiplication are opposites, you can check your answer. If you do b plus 1 and multiply it by this 2b minus 3, you should end up with this stuff here. So you'd get 2b squared minus 3b plus 2b minus 3. If you simplify this, guess what? We get this thing that we started with here. So let's do one where we do have a remainder. So you set it up the same way. 2m plus 1 goes on the outside. On the inside is 6m squared minus 5m minus 7. And then you ask yourself, what do you need to multiply 2m by to give you 6m squared? So 2 times 3 will give us 6. And then I already have 1m, but I need 2, so I gotta have another one. And then you go through and you multiply 3m by both of these things here. So 3m times 2m is 6m squared. 3m times 1 is 3m. Super duper important, the part that people always forget is you need to subtract these things here. So this goes away. You get negative 8m, and then bring down the negative 7. And then it starts all over again. So 2m times what gives you negative 8m? And you need a negative 4. And then you take that negative 4 and you multiply it by 2m and by 1. So you get negative 8m minus 4. And then remember to subtract. So if you're subtracting a negative, you're adding. The m's go away, and you end up with negative 3. And since there's nothing else to bring down, this is your remainder. So our answer is 3m minus 4. And remember how we write our remainders. You add your remainder divided by the number that you're dividing by. Because you're saying that this negative 3 can't fit into 2m plus 1 anymore. And that's it. We're going to do this one in class together, but I want you guys to try just this one tonight, and we'll do this one in class tomorrow also. If you are confused, write down a specific place where it doesn't make sense, and we can talk about that tomorrow. Enjoy your night.